What's up, guys? How is everyone doing today? Canada just took Qatar behind the woodshed. Jesus. You guys ever been to so I've been to Qatar a few times. The locals there pronounce it Qatar. It's spelled Qatar. It's a beautiful place. I love the United Arab Emirates, the UAE. I always tell my friends, I don't know if it's because, before I moved to Australia in 2013, the idea for me at least, who I was as a person in 2013 of traveling to the UAE was just so few and far in between. Like I never thought I would do that. It's just when I got to Australia, we fly, going to Dubai, going to Saudi, going to Oman. I have a friend who lives in Oman. The UAE is absolutely stunning, beautiful, clean, gorgeous. Make what you will of the politics. Either way, Qatar is getting that ass beat by Canada, 6-0. And the game's about to be called. So hopefully you boys in our Discord, in our World Cup soccer Discord, picked Canada. The next game starts in an hour. Just to keep, I know we're gonna get to the boxing, but hey, we are a professional betting community. Don't limit us. Don't relegate the JSB insiders to just boxing. Our bread and butter is boxing, MMA, but more importantly, what we do better than anybody else, community. We have soccer, baseball, football, college football starting soon. That's kind of my sneaky go-to. South Korea plays Mexico in an hour. We're going to get this thing started. We're going to look at the odds. I got 3 tickets live. I told everybody that this is not a full unit betting weekend for me. It's just the action really, nothing's really jumping off the page for me. I gave. Are they fighting? If you got the game's over, Qatar got the brakes beaten off of them, and it looks like the boys are having a little scuffle midfield. I know Qatar had 2 guys sent off. So the JSB insiders, go to your YouTube members only section, and then the Patreons, go to the Patreon section. You should have. There's 3 tickets that are live. There's 2 boxing tickets. There's a knockout prop paying plus 442. There's a boxing money line triple playing plus 147. And then we did a UFC money line triple paying 124. 3 tickets. I'm probably going to give you 3 more today, and we'll see what's happening. I've been picking the brains of our Discord, the sharps in there, about sort of these like C-level 50-50 fights. Guys, bet at your own risk, man. One of the biggest things about doing this long term is you don't have to bet on every single fight. Use your intuition. If this weekend or if a fight doesn't jump off the page for you, you don't have to bet it. Always keep that in mind. I see this happen a lot with our boys in the MMA Discord because the UFC, the way they present their fights, generally it's a 12-fight setup. Sometimes it's 13, or like a special event last week, the UFC White House, there was only 7. But usually the 12 fights are presented on your betting app, one after another. So guys are doing their tickets and they're trying to get every fight right. And if the first fight loses, they're going to do the next fight. And they're going to do the next fight. I definitely vote against betting that way. There's no way to ever win consistently. Have boundaries. For each UFC card, I tell myself I'll do 3 tickets. I'll usually pick a dog. I'll do a money line. And then I'll do sort of if any fights jump off the page. Right now, I've done the money line. I'm looking for the dog. I'm this close to taking Hyder Emil. I like Christian Rodriguez. Both guys are coming off 2 losses in a row. Both guys need wins. Both guys are tough. And so I'm still kind of torn. So I see a path to victory for both guys. But with that being said, that's where I'm at. It's Friday, June 19th, 10:04 a.m. And here in Sydney, Australia. Wherever you are in the world, I say welcome. Join our JSB Discord. The link is pinned in the comment section below. It's a couple bucks a month. You become part of our growing community. August will be 1 year. We just surpassed 530 JSB insiders. We go way past just boxing. We live stream fights in there. We live stream events in there. And so if you're one of these sports fans who just want to be part of a educated, research-based community, and the betting comes second. If you want to bet, you can bet. We don't force anyone to bet. So click that link. I'm going to take your questions. We're going to pull the odds up. Let's get it. All right. So Trent, what's up, Trent? Trent goes, Lyndon Arthur only fought 1 southpaw as a pro. Great stats. He's a southpaw, though. In boxing, you don't see a lot of Southie versus Southie matchups, but it is a good stat, and Trent must know me pretty well because I like stats like that. That was in 2017 against a boxer with a 16-41 record, but his opponent's not a southpaw. He's fighting Lewis Edmondson, a guy who turned pro in 2019 and only has 12 pro fights. I don't know. Maybe I'm old school. I know that's only 7 years as a pro, but it's like the generation I grew up in. The year you turn over, you want to get like I know guys who I know guys who had 10 fights in their first year. I think didn't Tyson have like 19 fights in his first 2 years going pro? Like this used to be a thing. You turn over, you stay active. You turn over, you get active. Lewis Edmondson turned over in 19. He's 11-1. That's not even 2 fights a year. Those are like UFC numbers, which is crazy. I know UFC guys are more active than that. Shout out to my boy Energy Johnson, CJ Charles. Charles came through the LFA as like a 31, 32-year-old, and he has like this is just off the top of my head. CJ might have 15 fights in the UFC in like a 3-4 year career. So I'm pretty sure Edmondson's an orthodox fighter, though. By the way, I still favor Linden. Oh, I thought Edmondson was a Southie. I could. Oh no, he might switch, but Lewis Edmondson is an ortho. Mikey Melbourne in the house. What's up, Johnny? Did you see Troy Williamson's doing it? Yep. No, he's fighting Callum Simpson. Callum Walsh is Hollywood Fight Night. Callum Walsh is Dana White's golden boy. Callum Walsh is the kid that Dana White thought of boxing. Callum Walsh, to me, really hasn't panned out. They're pairing him tougher and tougher. We'll see. I do my best. If ever I speak derogatory on a fighter, it's usually based off of hype. It's never really based off of me acting like a casual. You know what I'm saying? Even a guy 10-42, you're never gonna hear me say he sucks. Like, are you kidding me? Am I out there fighting? I used to fight. I think anybody out there who used to fight truly would totally understand the fact that you just can't bash people. But Callum Walsh had a lot of hype. They were talking about he's the next Connor in terms of having Ireland on his back. And he just, to me, he's not, I don't think he adds up to that height. You're talking about Callum Simpson, though, and that fight I still have PTSD from that fight. I don't know, Mike, if you were an insider at this time, but during their first fight, Callum Simpson goes in that fight undefeated. You know all the details. He was a 6-1 favorite. Troy was a guy who, losses to Josh Kelly. This is a guy who was already in his mid-30s. They said he was undersized, massive underdog. He was getting beat early on. Callum Simpson was cruising. And then something happened. Simpson's gas tank started fading. Simpson gets dropped 3 or 4 times in the 10th and gets stopped. And that was one of those weekends where everything hit. And these were lessons that I learned moving forward, that this was at the time still in my evolution as a bettor, which wasn't that long ago. In terms of, I've been betting since I was a kid, but in terms of sharing bets and people joining our community to see who we're betting on, I was still creating multiple tickets with the same guy on it. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if it's Shakur fighting Josh Padley, and I'm using that as an outlier example. I don't think it's wise to put the same fighter on, if you're playing 6 tickets, if you're playing 5 tickets, you want to minimize the risk of a misstep and all of your tickets being burned by one fighter not showing up or having a bad night. And I had Callum, everything hit that weekend. UFC came through, boxing, there were like 3 cards. The Discord will remember this. And everybody needed was Callum on the money line. And it was a beautiful weekend, and he got stopped. And the Discord went into a full implosion. N-bombs were thrown out. The hard R's were thrown out. F-bombs, racial insinuations, call-outs, DMs to street fight people. R. Kelly's albums were playing in the background. People were barbecuing. Cats were stealing each other's golf carts to go to the stove. It was one of them. I'm not too excited about the Troy Williamson Callum Simpson rematch. I have PTSD from it. What's up, the one tay? Julius, I saw you on Gary's live stream. You said there was Yellcats was acting crazy. Gary was acting crazy. He really thinks that Gary thinks that Magnesi is that dude. It's crazy that he talks so much trash about one fighter, and then on the other side, the fighter he's siding with, he acts like Magnesi is pound for pound. I don't see it. I think I rate Gardner. He said Magnesi's more athletic than him, and all these things. I don't know, man. Ryan's going to be tough to beat in Southampton, and I don't think it's going to be close. We'll see. You were also saying you like Lewis Edmondson to beat Linden. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with you. I think Edmondson. I think Lewis. Neither guy does anything exceptionally well. Experience, Lyndon Arthur. Better resume, Lyndon Arthur. When we're looking at the physical tools, Lyndon Arthur, in my opinion, has a better fight IQ. He could use the whole ring. He doesn't mind fighting off the ropes. He has a better jab. I mean, what's Edmondson going to do? He's gonna use that sort of reflex style and win rounds, maybe, because Lyndon Arthur does disappear. And I know that you said that you feel this is one of these fights where one guy's 35, it's the next in line sort of thing. But I don't see it that way. I don't think people rate Lewis Edmondson as the next in line. I just see this as like a fight to add value to a fight card. And I don't think either side is going to get sort of favorable scorecards. So with that being said, I mean, Lyndon Arthur, if Lyndon Arthur can't beat Emerson, it's time to hang him up. At least have 3 a year, if not why. But yeah, I don't know, man. And this is something that I know there's not, depending what country you come from, the boys on the live chat with Gary and Julius were talking about how Johnny Fisher could sell out a stadium, and this guy, if he lived in America, wouldn't be able to sell out an auditorium. You guys are missing the whole point. That's not that's like comparing apples to oranges culturally. When you look at total mass population, you can't compare a British boxer with an American boxer and then compare a skill set and wonder why a guy who's as skilled as, we'll say, Shakurstevenson wouldn't be able to sell out an arena, other than, he wouldn't be able to go to like Florida and sell out an arena. He's American, North America. He should be able to go anywhere in America. And you look at a guy like Johnny Fisher, this guy's a C-level heavyweight. He could sell out his hometown, the Romford Bull. It's because population and then attention. Look how many pro sports and the love affair Americans have with pro athletes. You know what I'm saying? In Britain, it's like soccer, a little bit of rugby, and boxing. America, you got so many other things to do, and there's so many other people. So I think that has a lot to do with it. You can't compare their skill set and then use that as an argumentative point on if Johnny Fisher wasn't in Romford, he wouldn't be able to sell if he grew up in New York. Of course not. They're two different things. You know what I'm saying? You have to appreciate one for the other. You can't use them to debate. With that being said, I love British boxing. I love that aspect of it. I love that you could watch it. Dude, Nathan Heaney. Punk ass Nathan Heaney freaking would sell out in his place. He's famous. He's probably more notorious for his walkout than anything else. You got that. That's what makes boxing great. Things like that. You know what I'm saying? But I remember when Teofimolopez fought Steve Claggett didn't he fight Claggett in like Miami? I think I said a couple weeks ago it was Caribe Royale in Orlando, but I think he fought him in Miami. Like you're looking at the production and it's like the cameramen are only showing like the ring and then one row, media row, and then it's dark because nobody's there. This is Teofimolopez. This dude should be selling out arenas, but it's Miami. When the Florida Marlins won the World Series in 1997 and they beat the Cleveland Indians, there'd be like 20% capacity in that stadium leading up until the playoffs. Like, people in Miami don't want to go sit in a stadium and watch baseball. You see what I'm saying? It's such a moot argument to say that British boxing sucks because a guy in Britain who would sell out their local arena, if he was an American, he wouldn't sell 500 tickets. That's you can't. It's not even an argument. Lyndon's not a southpaw. Word up. Holla at your boy. Lyndon Arthur by decision. You guys betting on that fight? I got Arthur on a ticket. Johnny, which fights aren't you betting on? All right, I'll pull it up. So far, I mean, I'm not betting on a lot right now. I only have 3. It's live. I'm not betting on any of those Golden Boy 15-1 tickets. I'm waiting for Wednesday. I'm going heavy on Wednesday. I'm going heavy on the Australian card. I'll break these down and tell you who I think is going to win. Obviously, 14-1 underdog, not betting. 14-1 underdog, not betting. Tito Mercado should win by knockout. Yeah, but Burgos has never been stopped. Tito Mercado, this is another thing, man. Tito Mercado getting signed. He left Matchroom Misfits now. I mean, this kid needs better promotion. There was a time, though, where we said the same thing about Boots Ennis. Not that long ago. I did a video about the thing that was holding Boots back was the lack of a promotional company, and then in stepped Eddie Hearn. And in the next year, Eddie sold out that arena in Philly for him, which was great. And it's been, to the moon since. I think Tito Mercado is marketable. I like him on the microphone. He's mean. He talks a lot of shit. He has a fun, fan-friendly style. He's fighting an old 38-year-old Burgos who's never been stopped. That fight's 100% put there for Mercado to go viral. So, will he do it? He's going to try to do it. No props. He's going to try to do it for sure. And then he's going to sit and call everybody out at 140. He's going to call everyone out from Shakur to Teo. Everyone on the channel knows Tito Mercado. You know how he operates. I'm here for it too. Amir Anderson, 11-1. You guys were saying Sylvain is live as an 11-1 dog. I need you to show me proof. Somebody show me proof that Jonas is going to beat Amir. This fight, Ingram versus Cushing. Look, man, last weekend took a lot out of me emotionally. Wasn't a big financial hit for me. We could have easily hit 7 out of 10. We hit 4. We hit 4, lost 6. But the weekend before, I hit a 500-1. And I kept how much I made secret, and I'll continue to keep that secret. So I'm not big on bragging about why don't you show how much you wager, dude? The last thing I don't do this to make people feel uncomfortable. I do this to educate people on the greatest sport on earth, and to spread the word about the greatest sport on earth, and to give you my opinion on who I think is going to win. But last weekend, man, dude, that UFC card, boxing, lost a couple close decisions. I just needed a recharge. I'm using this weekend a little bit of a reset emotionally. Whenever we're breaking tape down, guys like myself, Gary, Tommy, Barium, all the sharps, Julius in our group, you put a lot of energy and effort into the study, and then when the fight's happening, this is going to sound crazy, but it's almost like the wager, how much you're wagering, comes second, because it's like, do I know what I think I know? Do I know what I think I know? Is the effort I'm putting in, is it going unnoticed, or did I waste my time? And when you're watching the fight, that shit gets stressful. And so, like, every now and then, since the new year, the last time I was burned out was early April. This is mid-June, so I'm kind of recharging. So it's a great question. I'm not betting on Ingram and Cushing. I know you guys, a lot of the boys like Cushing. I'm not betting on it. And it has nothing to do with either fighter. I know Ingram is isn't he coached by Coach Cal? I think Ingram's coached by Coach Cal. Devin Cushing. Both guys are kind of guys who are working on fulfilling their potential, I guess. I do have action here. I threw this, not emotionally invested in literally any of these fights, though. Ashton Silva, if Ashton Silva is who he thinks he is, if Ashton Silva in his career who I think he is, he should handle Jojo Diaz, man. Jojo Diaz's best days were almost a decade ago at 126 pounds. Yeah, but he fought good against Rocha, and he fought good against Regis. I mean, one of the scorecards in the Rocha card, they were a little bit wide. He did lose a unanimous decision. Are we just relegating Jojo Diaz now to go into these fights at 147 to just get hit a lot and lose decisions? Like, so we're just getting paydays now. So Jojo Diaz is now just a guy, former world champion at one time with great skills, great reflexes, really marketable. We know about his backstory out of the ring. We know about his issues and his demons, which a lot of us do have. So no, we're not going to judge him for that. But when we watch our former world champions get relegated to just going in against sort of prospects, contenders, gatekeeper basically role, so you're just there to get hit a lot and lose a decision. And if JoJo wins, great for him. And I do think JoJo is still at the stage where he thinks he could win these fights. So I do have to mention that. From what I've seen, he looks like a kid who's still, he's not that old. You would think Jojo Diaz is 40 years old. He's not that old. Ashton Silva, the fight he got starched against Lucas Body, he was winning that fight, man. Winning that fight until he wasn't winning the fight. It's why we play the game. Other than that, he's unblemished, super athletic, good boxer, fun, marketable, exciting. He's already had to pick himself up off of a loss. You'd have to think that every version of Silv is going to be a level up. He seems like a guy who's athletic enough and committed enough to where every time we see him, we'll add a level. So when you're looking at a guy who's still figuring out his career trajectory, his ceiling, still committed enough to add levels against a guy like JoJo, who, not shocking to say, the days of adding levels to your game are long gone. It's hard to bet against the other guy. So some of you guys like JoJo as a dog here. I have Ashton on the money line, probably Silva on points. JoJo's really tough to get out of there. Does Silv catch him clean? Does Silv cut him? Does Silv break him down? Is his volume enough over the entire fight for the ref to step in? Is there cowboy play at the plus 360 stoppage? Of course. For me, what cowboy play would you play first? Would you play JoJo by upset at plus 440 or Ashton by knockout at plus 360? You know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Ashton by knockout if I'm playing a cowboy bet, and I might. I've already put there's a knockout prop double that I've played. I like Ryan Garner to knock out Magnesi. And the other one, I posted it. Brad Pauls to knock out Goldsmith. That pays plus 442. Still only a half unit for me. Nothing full. I'm not dipping into my bankroll for this weekend. I'm dipping into my bankroll for the Australian card. I like Liam Paro on points. I like Liam Talava'a at plus 300 as a dog. I think Callum Peters is on that card. Callum Peters just got announced, though, to also be on the Tim Tszyu card. So that's always kind of dangerous. I think he's fighting on this Paro card, too. Yeah, Simpson, my bad. What's your thoughts on the rematch? What's up, Mike? I think we got there. Walk Vaughn, I had Morel on 6. Yeah, Walk Vaughn, and this is one of the things that I feel having chats like this, whether it's on the live stream or in our Discord, that we learn from our mistakes. Nobody is trying to sit here acting like we're the expert. I learned just as much from the community. We got coaches in here. Shout out to Coach Bermudez. We got Yo-Yo Hernandez. Yo-Yo Hernandez's coaches in here. We got athletes in here, fighters in here, coaches like myself, strength and conditioning guys, former fighters. So that's what when I say community, that's what I mean. For us to talk through these sort of things, not to be like, you're wrong, I'm right, fuck you. Like, not that. So the whole Morel on 6 parlays, I had him on 1. I didn't see anybody taking the other dude, the British kid. Shout out to him, though. Turned his life around, him and his pops. Well, he lives in Britain. I didn't see anybody. Like, that was a shock. That one stung, too. David Morrell losing that was kind of, and I only had him on 1 ticket, but it was still a loss. Nobody likes losing. And it was the last fight of the weekend. You know what I'm saying? It's never, it's always a bummer. And even if you're up, that last ticket, it doesn't come through. I look at Morrell losing is the same way I looked at Armando Resendez beating Caleb Plant in terms of like what I was waiting on. That was a tough one to get past too. And then I got honey dicked in the Armando Resendez hype and picked Armando to beat Munguia. And that, dude, it's not an easy game, dude. The game we play, whatever you do in your life, working hard for your money, And if you have a passion for the game like I do, and I think a lot of you guys do, putting our hard work cash for fight is it's not for the weak, man. You gotta have thick skin. Terry Lance, magnesium, not the same. Yeah, what's up, Terry? Former fighter, right here. Not the same. Yeah, that Rikishi fight, man. He. We watched that fight. I rewatched that fight 2 days ago. That fight, I'm pretty sure, was in Italy, and it looked like he was out on his feet. It was one of those dangerous, scary fights for a home guy who is hurt, but the home ref is giving the hurt home guy every opportunity to kind of have his Rocky moment. But in boxing, people get really, really hurt in those moments. You know what I'm saying? Boxing isn't Hollywood. And it was a tough one. And the Japanese fighters, they fight with that samurai spirit. Look, I like Magnesi. I've won money on Ryan Gardner over the last year and a half. And so when I'm weighing the options on anybody who says that there isn't a little bit of superstition that goes into this would be lying. There is. There's a little bit of superstition, a little bit of recognizing patterns and trends. And then the other, part of the diagram is how much you know, what you're seeing, who you know, how much you've seen, that sort of thing. And so I just look at Ryan Gardner as the better boxer. There's something about his game, his setups, his feints, how he enters the pocket, his willingness to exchange, his belief in his camp, his connection with his coach in his corner, what he's been through, where he's trending, what he's looked like. All of that. It's in his hometown, Southampton. I like Garner, man. Lyndon Arthur jab is one of the best in the game. Lyndon Arthur could win a fight with his jab. Lewis Edmondson is going to win his fight with his mobility, his footwork. I think Lyndon Arthur, I have Arthur. I think 71. I got him at 71% return. Yeah. We got you. Youngin, what's up, buddy? The Parlay King, the Moonshot Gorilla. Go to the Discord, check out Youngin. He puts together these people who say I was a guy who was a hater on Moonshot parlays. Shout out the boxing fan. He's a JSB insider. He tried getting me to do these Moonshot parlays months ago, and I was like, dude, that like 100 to 1 odds, right? And I started doing them just 3 weeks ago. When I finally hit one, I was like, oh shit. And then I see Youngin. This is Youngin's bread and butter. Like my bread and butter are the dogs, and then finding plus money tickets usually valued at like plus 200 to plus 400 consistently. At least the tickets I'm searching for is we're going to double our money, right? Risk with it, but not a lot of risk, okay? This dude, go to our Discord and check out his slips. Some guys have an eye for. Some guys have an eye for 50%ers. Some guys have an eye for quarterly parlays. I know. Shout out to Tommy Ranone. If you knew how many tickets he would send me that have like fights from like 4 months ago on them. So everybody has their own style. Everybody has their own strategy. Youngin, man. Moonshot guy. Change your name. Arthur versus Edmondson winner gets fed to Whitaker. I don't think Lyndon Arthur getting... You think Lyndon Arthur would be outmatched against Ben Whitaker? You think Whitaker's athleticism, speed, pressure, that style, he would just flood him early and get Arthur out there early? I think people undervalue Lyndon Arthur. I think he could box a bit. I think he got a little bit of pedigree, got some seasoning, definitely world level. Good jab. What did coach always say? Your right hand will take you around the block, but your jab will take you around the world. You know what I'm saying? So Arthur's a guy who doesn't fight outside of himself. He believes in what he has. I think people underrate Lyndon Arthur. You've been watching him for a while. He doesn't have a perfect record, but he figures things out. He's a thinking man's fighter. He's not going in there without a game plan. He's not just winging it. So he's a guy that when you're betting your money on, there's a real path to victory when he fights. To say Ben Whitaker would just eat him, I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess I'm still not 100% firm believer in Ben Whitaker. Not to say, he's not. He has a lot to grow. He's still young. You like Edwin or Ryo? Edwin De Los Santos' inactivity does bother me. Ryo, it's interesting what he's been through. Finding a belt. He's still not a fully developed guy. He's still young in his career. when we're talking about guys who have been overachievers, becoming world champions, Raul Valenzuela, he's all blood and guts. He's gonna fight for your money if you're betting on him for sure. Um, I'd have to, you'd have to think De Los Santos isn't going to come into this fight unprepared. I'd expect the same De Los Santos that we were used to. So I got my money on Edwin. That is a really good card, though. That is a really, really good card. The kid who beat Merriweather is on that card. He was a 7-1 dog. He's fighting Brio Benito. And then I think that might be on the same card as Sugarcane Sandoval versus, I wanted to say Cameron Vong, but Brandon Lee. Cameron Vong. Sheesh. Jojo Diaz has taken so much punishment in his career and has been stopped before. 35, Sylvan, 10 years younger, no distance. Yeah. The thing is, as bettors too, is we love our old champions, and I think it's always important for us to remember when we're gambling not to get lost in that romanticism. Sometimes we see the best of us get lost in the romanticism. Gary taking Thurman over Pandora. I told him, I was like, bro, you being romantic about this, and we're all guilty of it in some way or the other. It's tough not to be, man. Dude, boxing. The best sport in the world, man. We've stories old as time. They write movies about our sport. Who doesn't love a comeback? But when betting, I think sometimes we could get guilty of betting on that romance, and you got to check yourself. Got to check yourself. I think Jojo's in over his head. It's going to be a banging week of Young End. We love that positivity. Let's go. Arthur is stuck in the mud. But sometimes being stuck in the mud with that style, and then LaFleur, would you say that Lewis Edmondson has an efficient style? Or would you say he has an inefficient style? Does he waste a lot of energy? Does he waste a lot? Because sometimes you do see guys who, like, Lyndon's not going to waste anything. So when you say stuck in the mud, I hear efficiency, especially at 35 years old, especially with a jab like he has. The Bradley Ray fight. He's really, this guy's going into each fight with rounds and rounds with, look at his resume. Let's look at Edmondson real quick. Since this is a topic of conversation, we'll remove my big head and we'll get LaFleur's comment out of there. Okay. All right. So this is Lewis Edmondson. 11-1, 3 knockouts, 12 pro fights. He's 30 years old. 6'1" Orthodox fighter. He turned over in 2019. 4 rounders. He fought his first 8-rounder 2 years ago. And then he went straight to 12s. Dan Aziz. I thought Dan Aziz beat him. Just to let you know, we just saw Dan Aziz fight. Dan Aziz just lost to Craig Richards in Africa. I thought Aziz beat him. I gotta be honest with you. That's his biggest win. There is a argument to say that he beat Daniel Lapin, but on record he didn't. So maybe those fights cancel themselves out. We just saw Lapin get starched. Lapin's not who everybody thought he was, but you could say that Edmondson beat Lapin, but on paper he didn't. So so you remove Lapin and Aziz, Lyndon Arthur, and he's going right to Lyndon Arthur. So the matchmaking here. I gotta change my browser, boys. Why did I misspoke? I think I said Lyndon was a Southie. He's an Orthodox fighter too. Arthur, this will be his 29th pro fight. 29th pro fight compared to 13th pro fight. 25-3, been stopped once. 16 knockouts. 6'2". He's a more experienced guy. A couple years older, more tread on the tires, a little bit taller. Beats Bradley Ray on points. Got dropped in that fight and then fought his way back. Loses to Anthony Yard at Wembley. Beats Liam Cameron. Loses to Bivol on points. So, like, you know, gets knocked out against Anthony Yard. Had a trilogy with Yard. So he's best known for his trilogy. He's best known for his trilogy with Yard. And then going the distance with Bivol. Bradley Ray dropped him early, but then, you know, he figured out how to win that fight. He figured him out. You can't stand in front of Bradley Ray. Bradley Ray wants you. So you say he's stuck in the mud, I would disagree. If he was stuck in the mud, Ray would have finished him. He uses the ropes well, uses the entire ring well. He has good distance management. He has a good jab, dude. He won that. He beat Bradley Ray with his jab, and then he started sitting down on his backhand. So there, with Edmondson, I just don't see him beating. I don't think he's a better boxer. I don't, you know, he could with output. He'd have. Is it 12 rounds? It's a question mark here. Usually, if is it for any sort of belt? This probably is a 10-rounder then. I don't know. Maybe you guys will know. There's a question mark there. But, you know, Lyndon Arthur does have, you know, these laws where he's not throwing a lot. Who will have the bigger moments? I have this fight on a parlay. Nothing heavy. A triple. It pays like plus, I think, 200. So 77% return. Depending, whatever way you like. If you like Edmondson, money line, he's a dog. You're going to get good money for your return. If you like Lyndon, great money for your return. So I'm not going to talk you out of any of those bets. For me, I don't know if Edmondson is the guy for me in terms of beating Lyndon Arthur in a fight. Yeah, but I don't. I talked about this, but being from Southampton doesn't mean much to me. Lyndon's from the UK too. Just because it's his hometown, it's not like he's gonna have 3 judges from Southampton. It's not like Lewis Edmondson is a guy that they're looking at, you know, as a world champion. That they're He's not being protected by no means. Edwin should win if he ain't washed. Has been training seriously. He looks like he's been training seriously. Let's have a look. Let's have a look real quick. This is him training with Brian Norman Jr. I shared this on my Instagram. This was not on my bingo card. Seeing BNJ holding pads for Edwin De Los Santos. It's kind of cool. I'd like to see if they're sparring. I'd like to see what that sparring looks like. De Los Santos versus Norman Jr. And we know that Ryo's a fan favorite. I'm a fan of Ryo, just so you guys know. So, and I don't think I have to reiterate that to the boys in the chat. You guys know we're not casuals here. Every time Ryo fights, I'm tuning in. Edwin De Los Santos, same thing though. This is a good fight. I wouldn't be mad if you took Ryo. I wouldn't talk you out of it. I just feel that De Los Santos is the more sort of well-rounded guy. Ryo to me still seems like he's learning on the job. And this was my comment about overachieving and becoming a world champion. Kind of like what we saw with Raleigh. You know, guys who are like, you know, learning on the job, still fixing their holes, trying to level up. And then I think it was TJ. Shout out to Chilltown. Chilltown said something. Shout out to Gary and 3D too. You guys, if you're not following them, I've been trying to talk TJ into starting a YouTube channel forever. He'll probably never do it. He probably doesn't want the stress of it. But go follow 3D if you're not, and if you are, you know what I'm talking about. They had a nice little chat yesterday. And Chilltown said they were talking about champions. In Chilltown, I think they were talking about Lewis Crocker. And TJ was like, Crocker's a titleist at 147, but is he the champion at 147? And I was like, that was an interesting way of putting it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're looking at the belts, the IBF, WBA, WBO, WBC, there's four. Unless you're like a Naoya Inoue who's undisputed, there's no doubt at 122, who the champion is. But in other divisions, when the belts are spread out, it's kind of evident, not always, in each division who the champion is and who others might just be holding the belt, like titleists, sort of thing. I thought that was interesting. With Edwin De Los Santos, to me, he seems like the guy. He knows who he is as a fighter. His style speaks for itself. Ryo still kind of gets in there and sometimes has to learn from his mistakes. You know what I'm saying? So I do like De Los Santos. I think the odds are great on each side, whichever way you like. It's a fun fight, fun card. Shout out to Zuffa. Ryo changes the style every fight, I think. Yeah. Guys, we're all in this together. Like, I'm not even reading your comments. I'm reading them after I riff. Exactly. This is kind of speaking to my point. I agree with you. Don't like Arthur's chances if it's a close fight in Emerson's hometown. I'll live with it. I'll live with it. I understand because we have made political bets before, and it's paid off. But those political bets usually align with the promotional company. The most recent one, Albert Ramirez getting the crazy decision over our boy Richards. But we knew going into it, it was an Eye of the Tiger card. We knew about the promotional A side. We know about Top Rank promotional A side. That's promotional politics. I will bet every now and then you got to talk about it. I will lean the promotional A side, town A side. I don't think it's the same thing. I don't think Lewis Edmondson's not a guy they're moving like they were moving Dalton Smith. You know what I mean? Dalton Smith is a guy for years now, and he obviously we know with his great fight against Subaru, who was a world champion. Dalton was in a couple close fights when he was younger. I'm not saying that there's fights that he should have lost, but I'm saying in that example of a guy like Dalton with that much shine on him and potential, that would be sort of an example where maybe in a close fight judges would side with him. I don't think Lewis Edmondson's that guy. And, both guys are Brits. USA versus Australia tomorrow, Johnny. I'm sorry, but come on, you fucking Aussies. All right, I got to be honest with you. This is in relation to the World Cup. And just so you know where I stand on this. When I was in America, I lived all throughout the country. I left home as an 18-year-old, lived in Pittsburgh, lived in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, lived in Youngstown, lived in Las Vegas, lived in Orange County, California, Long Beach, California. And that was my life experience in my 20s. And then at 30, I moved to Australia. And up until then, I traveled the world, been all around. Sydney, Australia, where I choose to live. And I've been everywhere throughout, Sydney's my favorite place in the world. It is. And I can list you a list of 10 things on why. Everything from the peace of mind, the safety, my quality of life, what I do for a living, how my life changed when I moved to Sydney. So many of these things that you guys probably don't care about. I love Sydney. And as an American, when I lived in America, I was never patriotic. My brother-in-law's in the Air Force. I wasn't anti-American at all. I'm very grateful of where I come from. It wasn't until I moved here until I became patriotic with America, because I have an accent here. And we know about how sort of toxic political landscapes have been since 16. And so there's been moments in my life here where people hear my accent and they think a certain thing. And so that's had to put me on the back foot and be like, I know, you know what I'm saying? So I've never been more patriotic. And so for America. And so, My brother-in-law flies airplanes in the Air Force with his name on it. He's been in the Air Force since 2001. He's a pilot. And I was torn up until yesterday on Instagram when I saw Aussie fans in America shit talking. Aussie fans in America spreading like liberal propaganda, like alt left progressive liberal propaganda. And I was like, fuck that. Let's go, America. Let's beat the brakes off these boys. So that's where I'm at. Hell yeah. So I was on the fence. I was almost going to cheer for Australia. Up until yesterday, my whole Instagram feed was these Aussie fans in America talking shit about America. I was like, fuck that, dude. Let's go, America. Beat the brakes off these boys. So that's where I stand with that. Yeah, so the Mexico game starts in 14 minutes. I got it on right here. I got the TV here. I got a box at 12. I just got a whole pass and then for a client. And then I'll have this on in the background. Oh, I'm not on. Edmondson was more critiquing Arthur. I just don't believe. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, world class. I mean, never became a world champion. Fought at the world. I mean, when you fight Dimitri Bivol, like there is an argument. I know there's some. I know that Terry Lance was a fighter. I think he fought at 135, maybe lighter weight classes. Terry would probably be able to answer this more than me, considering he was a pro. But there is an argument to be made when you fight for world titles, you're at the world level. He fought for world titles before, mate. Do I see Lewis Edmondson fighting for world titles? No. So whether you believe it or I believe it or not, the facts are the facts. This guy shared 12 rounds with Dimitri Bivol. Keep the Garner train going. Yeah. Yeah, I like Ryan. I like Ryan as a boxer. He's won me money. Go watch Cameron versus Arthur. Arthur got a gift. Liam Cameron. There's gifts all around then because go watch Edmondson. Edmondson was given a few gifts. Look, Julius, I get it. Take Edmondson. I'm not that worried about it this weekend. I'm not that worried about it. I got money on it, but I'm not trying to get it. I'm not trying to get any gray hair over Lewis Edmondson versus Lyndon Arthur. Kane and Santos are dog. We got into it in our Discord. People were thinking I think Sugarcane. I think the less you can see it. You can see the dude, J Rod. Shout out to J Rod. Shout out to JSB. We took J Rod at plus 450. Sugar was 20 years old going into the J Rod fight. J Rod was 31. It was one of Zuffa's first cards, and he was a 5-1 favorite. We like, hold up, these odds are wrong. And I did a whole breakdown. You can watch it if you want to see it. I've been watching J Rod was the U.S. national champion as a 13-year-old. So like, been waiting for his time. Had a setback. Anyway, you could see the lessons J Rod was teaching Sugarcane Sandoval in the fight about tactics. And then if you follow Sandoval's Instagram, you're not going to really remember him walking around with a six-pack. He kind of, a little bit soft around the core. He's walking around. He seems motivated. I like everything he's been saying since that loss. All of his actions. I like how he's been moving. I've never rated Brandon Lee. I really like this fight for Sandoval. And we're getting Sandoval plus money, dude. Are you saying Sandoval's a dog here? Oh, God. For real. When's this fight? June next week, bruh. Yeah, it's not this weekend, the following weekend. Huh. I love Sandoval in this fight. I think Sandoval could use that Mexican-style pressure, forward volume, forward pressure on the front foot and beat Brandon Lee. I don't think Brandon Lee has the seasoning to handle him. I don't think Brandon Lee has the mental to handle him. It's a stressful style. Sandoval looks like he's going to be coming in better conditioning too. How fun is this? How fun? This shit is fun. If you're not having fun, see yourself to the door. We got the Mexico game starting in 10 minutes. Let's see what the Discord's saying. If you guys are still on right now, I say thank you. There's 56 of you. Like this video, please. What we're gonna do is take a look at the JSB Discord. And if you're not, if you're a JSB insider and you don't have the Discord link, send me an email and I'll get it to you. We're way more than just a we're way more than just a boxing betting community. Professional sports. I'm gonna go into the soccer one real quick. So this is our soccer Discord. See where everyone's at. So Eric Lara, Mexico, South Korea, player to be booked, sub play on. People are doing all sorts of props here. If you're rooting for draws in the World Cup, you're a sick human. Sorry, Trent. The boys are on the draws. Mexico, South Korea. He's thinking about wagering. Did anybody hit on Canada? And they won 6-0. There we go. Nice little hit. 28% return. Canada on the money line. 2,000, 1,571. I mean, that's a 28% return against Qatar. I like it. If your bankroll, that's a nice bankroll, Ranver. Good hit. Easiest 500 bucks ever. So these are props. The game's starting here shortly. Let's see what the boxing heads are saying real quick before we end this. Gorilla thing. All right, we got some. Gorilla's out here wild. He says he thinks JoJo could get the knockout. He might be trolling. He might be trolling here. JoJo's in good shape. Can you create a JoJo versus prediction page? You guys seeing anything here? I see a 3-inch height difference. I see a 10-year. How much old? How old is JoJo? He's way younger than I thought he was. Shakur sharing his skill. All right, guys. Any other questions on the odds? Any other questions with upcoming fights? I'm gonna go live tomorrow morning. The Korea game is about to start. If you guys ever been to South Korea, in my opinion, some of the hottest women in the world is South Korean. That's all I'm gonna say. If you could get to Seoul, Busan, go. Go. I love South Korean women. They're playing Mexico. Little side quest. Wizard in the house. We got a new JSB insider. Wizard just became a member. Send me an email. My email is on the YouTube channel. It's just my name at iCloud. I'll send you the Discord invite. Ingram by knockout. So are you going against the grain here? Yeah, I think, if somebody's like, John, you got to pick a bet. Who do you like here? Are you playing that, bro? I think Norman is Santos' manager. Brian Norman Jr. is Edwin De Los Santos' manager because Brian left his father. Trent Non-Pro, $5 super chat. My guy. Thank you. I love your content. You got awesome insight. I can't wait for Ruzan Abdullah's match with his Cuban kid. Yes, me too. I appreciate you. I appreciate the support. Um, I like Caden Griffiths. He's one of my favorite prospects. He's a 19-year-old kid. Golden Boy is moving him nicely, staying active, aggressive, nice body puncher. Look, just because we there's a lot to like about Caden Griffiths. Young, youthful energy, aggressive body puncher on the front foot. The kid lives in the gym. And at this stage of the game, because Golden Boy is moving him in such a way, people are and they're pairing him up with guys that he should be fighting. Like he's young. It's kind of this double-edged sword because he's getting national media attention and he's just knocking everybody out and looking great doing it. Clips are going viral, expanding his social media presence. People were comparing him to other younger fighters who maybe have done more in the game, but he's still a teenager. Be patient with this kid. He's fighting at welterweight. That's a grown man division. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure, isn't Caden fighting at 147? I misspoke on the Southpaw comment. I want to double check. Yeah, he fights at 147. He's only 19 years old. This kid probably could be topping out. We might see him at, middleweight, by the time he's 25. So we're watching, like, at this stage of the game when we're watching a teenager who's signed by Golden Boy, you're watching him for his potential. He's one of my favorite young fighters to watch. Josh Edwards is on the card, Olympian, heavyweight. I know a lot of people didn't like his last performance, but up until then, he looked great. Look at the Golden Boy card with a lot of prospects going up against guys that they should beat. But Abdullayev, dog. So I agree. I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate your support. Thank you, Trent. Arthur, the better boxer between the two, more experienced. I do think Lewis did win against Lapin, but don't think he'll have enough against Arthur. Yeah, Retro. I agree with you. Mehmet Unal getting a draw was just crazy. I didn't bet that. Hey, what do I always say, boys? Sometimes our best bets are the ones we don't make. I didn't bet that fight. So I was in the Discord watching the boys go crazy, and that draw was crazy. What was crazier, the Mehmet Unal draw or the Albert Ramirez decision win? Back-to-back weeks. Back-to-back weeks. I did fortunately play Albert Ramirez, which won, and we hit our long parlay. But something was fishy about Mehmet Unal fighting another kickboxer, and I didn't bet it. And it was a draw. And in my book here in Sydney, the draws lose. So I lucked out with that, not betting it. And right now, if you're not seeing any tickets, there's only 3. I'm not betting it. So we'll see if I do. USA versus Australia, Zoo versus Spence. Yeah, buddy. Dude, how about Mal Charlo is coming out of Sydney to fight Cohen Muzadir? Jamal Charlo is fighting Cohen Muzadir. Crazy. Crazy. Cool boy Steph is fighting Wilson. Don't sleep on that fight. Come on. Like, if cool boy Steph can't beat Liam Wilson, he tells everyone what he wants to do. He tells the entire world. You don't even have to game plan for Liam Wilson. He already will email you. He'll call you if you're his opponent. He'll be like, yo, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come forward. I'm going to slightly feint. I'll throw out a bullshit jab, and then I'm going to try to lead my big hook. I'm not going to cut the ring off, so you could use the entire ring. And I'm going to keep with that bullshit jab. I'm going to try to land my big left hook. That's what I'm going to try to land on you. I might level change and drop a level and hit a straight right to your core, but I'm still going to come back with that lead hook. Not like Danny Garcia, how Swift would throw the cross and then follow it up in a combo. I'm going to do it individually. I'm going to pop and choose, pick and choose, and see if I can. If Cowboy Steph can't beat Liam Wilson, Julius. Albert Bell, Toledo, Ohio. We up, man. Albert Bell has been getting overlooked for a decade. 6'1", lightweight boy who could box from the outside, technical, good jab, good conditioning. I'm going Albert Bell, baby. I'm going the upset plus 400. Ohio in the house. Edmondson is the boxer that picks the fights in the yeah, nobody likes that guy. Sydney, let's go, youngin. Love Sydney. My favorite city in the world. Not gonna lie, I think Jojo Diaz can upset. He did well against so now he did well against Regis. That's insane. He wobbled Regis 2 or 3 times, but lost every other exchange other than the punches that landed. I thought he fought better against Rocha and did well in the end. Yeah, okay. I didn't read your whole comment. Held his own in a division where he was weight. Okay, take him. Take him. Eddie. 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 Lyndon. Yep, I'm probably playing Lyndon on points. Right now, I'm leaning Spence, Cianzu. That's insane. Cianzu quit changed my perspective. You guys saying fighters who quit on this, I do not hold it against any boxer other than Oliver McCall. Because when you're a fighter and you're taking damage, dude, and you're like, you know what? I don't have a path to victory here. I'm going to have to, like, it's 7th, 8th round. There's 4 more rounds of this. This kid's just better than me on this night. Why would I put it, like, okay, you quit, but I'm not going to, it's not like he was Oliver McCall crying on his corner. So I don't hold it against him. It's like guys holding it against Ilya. I don't hold it against him at all. Self-preservation is a real thing. Saying it, that's crazy. I mean, all right, I get it. You're from the South. You guys like EJ. I'm an EJ fan too. I just don't see him beating Tim. 3 years out is a long time. I got Kane. J-Rod is better than me. I agree. Lyndon Arthur struggles with cannabis consumption since his early. I didn't know this. Didn't know this. Shout out to the chat. Cannabis consumption since his earlier pro career has been very disciplined. I remember he had some good performance in the World Series box. Yeah, I didn't know he struggled with weed. Shout out to Trent. Brandon gets stuck on the ropes. He can't handle his pressure. I think this is a great matchup for Sandoval to bounce back and look good in. Brandon Lee has been very inactive. He left boxing for a bit degree. And yeah, and I think he's a model. Go model. You're going to be in there with a real dog, a young, hungry dog in Sandoval who's coming off an L. Johnny Mags, what's up, brother? Salute. Salute to Seattle. Seattle in the house. Julius, I'm with you on the pick. I felt what Johnny said when I watched Spence's interview with Andre Ward. Yeah, I mean, EJ was talking about how he's retiring. Didn't you already retire? Like, aren't you retired? Yeah, I got Mexico here. You got to root for me. I love Mexico too, man. I used to go down to Cabo San Lucas all the time when I lived in Long Beach. It was like an hour-and-a-half flight, the Baja Peninsula. And I used to deep sea fish too off the coast of Rosarito Beach. So we would take my buddy was a marine biologist, and we would take his little like 20-foot boat down through Huntington Beach, past Tijuana or past San Diego, past Tijuana, get to Rosarito. Right when we were at Rosarito, we would go about 10 miles off the coast there, and he knew when the tuna were migrating back up north towards Alaska. And mate, bro, I'm talking. If you've ever seen a yellowfin tuna, one of the most beautiful fishes I've ever seen in my life. I remember how I felt the first time we caught one. I didn't know what gaffing a fish was. I was like 22. I didn't know what gaffing a fish is when you catch the fish, and this thing is like beautiful, multicolored, gorgeous, like aerodynamic, looks like a fucking missile. We catch it in all these colors, and it's fighting, and he all of a sudden we pull it on, and he pulls out a hook, like a Candyman hook. I was like, "What the fuck, dude? What is this? I don't know this." And he goes, boom, and hits the fish here, and you hear it make a this noise, and then he's bleeding it out. And then we have a cooler, and then you put it in the ice cooler. And like, I'll never forget this. This was like an hour or so later. I opened the cooler. This is an hour later after the blood already drained out, and it's still moving. It still had that much spirit. And then we made sushi for like our whole neighborhood. It was amazing. One of a great experience. I love Mexico. You're a quarter Mexican. Let's go. More than half the women in South Korea is plastic. who am I here to judge? They like me. I do well with the Korean ladies. I do well with it. I do well. They like me for some reason, so I'm not gonna judge people on plastic surgery. How do you feel about Ruslan Abdullayev? I like Abdullayev. I think he's very talented, very skilled. I want to see him paired a little bit more tough. Both were crazy decisions. Wilson versus Fulton is a cracking fight. Fulton money line, Charlo money line, Zoo money line. I like it. Let's go. We eating. How do you feel about fighters intentionally fouling out? Intentionally fouling out. Are we talking basketball? Are we talking soccer? Super chat. Trent, appreciate you, brother. I saw an interview with Caden when he was only 13. He was sparring with the Uzbeks. Yes. Yeah. So I heard of Caden probably when he was 16 sparring with Israel Madrimov. So when I was doing my deep dive on Madrimov, getting ready for the film study, when Madrimov fought the fight before Crawford, when he fought for I think it was the WBA belt. The guy he fought, his name is slipping my mind. He just fought like a month ago. And I was like, who is and then through my film study, it's like, his sparring partner is 16? Who's this kid? And it was Caden Griffiths. And I was like, asterisk by the name. So what I do, so when I'm doing film study, I write everything down, all my notes here. And then I always review him. Crawford. And I have like 6 of these books. So this book goes back. Professional intro vid. Wow. Corporate growth strategist. This book goes back. Brian Battle. This is the UFC breakdown I did. When Sean Strickland fought Jack Hermanson. Strickland was $1.41. Jack Hermanson was plus 276. When was it? How long ago was this? This is crazy. Madrimov Soriano. I agree. Well, finish. Yeah, I wouldn't call myself a fisherman. It was intense. Kayla Gomez is making her debut. Shout out to Frankie B. White Sandoval, Ruslan Abdullayev, Mir. That's pretty awesome. I think so. Close fight. I'm off boys season. Guys, I have to run as well. When a guy's losing, he just goes low, headbutts blatantly. Gets. Oh, yeah, that's a whole different thing. I'm not for that, bro. Yeah, that's a whole that's like disrespect for the sport. You know what I mean? That's disrespect for the sport. Yeah, I'm with you. I was sure going to remember him after seeing that interview. I aspired to his organizing older. Thank you, brother. There's areas in all of our lives, no matter what we do, where we could excel and level up. And for me, when I was maybe 12 years ago, 13 years ago, I knew that I needed to get organized. Organization for me has helped me evolve and level up in so many areas of my life. And it sounds simple and rudimentary, but writing things down, having a plan of attack, strategizing, executing, and then that planning will also hold yourself accountable. If you're competitive in any way, if you care about your full potential, it'll help you out. I'll see you guys tomorrow, man. Best community in the world. JSB Insiders, we up.